The high-level definition of Predix is the cloud-based operating system for the industrial internet.
If you think about infrastructure, it's everywhere, and there's so much of it, and it's such a huge opportunity to do good things for the world.
We help them to digitize the information they have about the assets, we help them to organize that knowledge, and then we help them to derive outcomes and insights from that knowledge that we accumulate.
It's a platform for ideas. This is the beginning. You're going to have the ability to collaborate and build on top of what we think is going to be the industry's leading platform.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at GEdigital, Harel Kodesh.
Good morning, everybody. Boy, what a difference the years make. You know, I remember 2 years ago I was interviewing with Jeff Immelt, and I was half-jokingly saying that in 5 years people are going to think about GE as a software company that also builds, jet engines and MRI machines. And I think I was a little bit too conservative. It's definitely coming together. You know, I'm the one standing on the stage here, but I have to tell you, I'm humbled by what the team can do. You know, we have great people. We hired awesome leaders this year. And we bring, top talent, top software development talent to GE. If you think about it, with Hima doing the Predix engineering, Darren doing the cloud, Gittes doing program management, product management, Andrea program management, all the people that are working on that, with Richa helping us on the HR and getting all the talent, and Simon making sure we don't spend too much money. I think we have an awesome team that will deliver, exactly what we need them to do over the next, n number of years. If you think about that, that's what the team was doing internally. But while we were doing it, actually Predix is getting sold, and it's showing up in all kinds of interesting people. We are managing smart buildings in San Diego. The system is running gas trains in Dubai. We're looking at managing ships somewhere over the North Atlantic. And we're doing all kinds of factory automation in central US. And just for fun, we also optimize the performance of the rowing team in the Rio Olympics. So all in all, the system is actually taking shape. And this year, we moved from creating the software to creating and operationalizing the software. We're settling into a very comfortable cadence of releases, and every time we do something, every time we have a new release, we solved a lot of issues that we had before, and we introduced new features. And it's going on and on and on, and I'm happy to say that, with the help of our systems, like the product management systems, with the fact that we are responding to all kinds of issues in real time, it feels like the machine is humming. So overall, it's, if I had to give you a report card, we are definitely making it in the world. We are emerging as the only solution for the industrial ecosystem. But software doesn't write itself. You need to have people. So this year we have onboarded 19,000 developers. When you think about it, the system actually was only released in February, so it's about 9-10 months old. And we got 19,000 developers. We will exceed the number that we set for ourselves of 20,000 by the end of the year. We wrote 100 new applications. Well, we and the ecosystem wrote 100 new applications. And we started working with 3,000 SI partners. So in terms of the ability, the muscle to go and create solutions, we are definitely getting there. We took the hackathons and the software development competitions all over the world. We had 10 Predix competitions over the last 6 months. 200 applications were written as part of those competitions, and there were 1,000 active participants, and it doesn't show any sign of, subsiding. So overall, I think that in terms of both the commercial and the technical activities, it's red hot. What I'd like to do today is actually talk to you about what can be done with Predix. At the end of the day, if you think about what an industrial company needs, they really need 3 types of systems. They need a system of records, such an ERP system. Because companies sell to human beings, they also need a system of engagement, like a CRM system. But the difference between knowledge enterprises and industrial companies is that at the end of the day, the whole operation, the selling, the record keeping is based on the assets. So we need a system of assets. And the assets are a different software structure or different software construct, in addition to the fact that these are big devices, big machines working sometimes in harsh environments and so on. And Predix is that system. There's nothing like it. This is the only system that is open, open to the public, open for innovation from inside and outside, and still offers you the ability to create, to manage the assets, optimize the operation of the assets. We have gone all the way from making sure that we can get the data into the devices, or from the devices, analyzing it, creating a different stack of machine learning elements that will allow us to look at what we need to do. When you go and create a prediction for assets, you have to make sure that it's a very high fidelity. Those assets are going to be in operation for decades, and they cost a lot of money. So we have more budget at the part of the overall part of creating those predictions to make really good prediction. In fact, we have to make the prediction really reliable. It's not like buying another book, which may or may not be the right recommendation. It's really a recommendation of whether to service something, to take an asset offline, and create something that is important. So a central part of the Predict system is what we call digital twin. It's the ability, you heard about that, Colin is going to come and talk about it later. Digital twins are really the representation of the physical assets out there. And when you think about that, this is exactly where we need to build a different system. We have to ingest the information really, really quickly from what the physical assets is seeing it, a jet engine, an MRI machine, etc., and put it back in the cloud so we can actually do all the machine learning on pertinent data and not have an age data. At the same time, we want to make sure that we can actually create a network. So when a jet engine, God forbid, start losing some performance parameters, the other jet engines will be able to learn about that, and so you get the wisdom of the crowd, except that in this case, it's not really a crowd of people, it's a crowd of assets. So the ability to build those things that is going to be with us for a long time is going to be super, super important as the assets change slightly, they age, they have different parameters, and they start diverging. Every asset we manage separately. We don't need reference manual for all the jet engines in the world. We need the reference manual for that specific asset. And if we can do that, then we will be able to optimize the operation of the industrial ecosystem. The tools, the technology that relate to digital twin is Predix. This is what we've been building. But in order to do that, we have to extend the notion of what Predix is. So this is where we introduced the notion of the Predix system. Last year, we talked about Predix being a cloud-based operating system for the industrial internet. This time, we're talking about Predix as a continuum of compute nodes and storage nodes, all the way from the cloud to the edge devices, through a bunch of gateways, supervisory gateways, controllers. We want to make sure that we can apply the type of application or compute unit in the right place. You have the cloud at one level, which is very cheap on a cost per bit basis, but has some latency. And then you have the controller on the other side that give you very low latency. You can respond to event on the device in real time, but obviously is much smaller, has much more restricted budget for compute and storage. And the question is, how do you optimize the execution of this distributed application in such a way that you can run the right application at the right place at the right time? This is what the Predict system allows us to do. So it brings all the capabilities, and as a result, we see Predix not just living in the cloud, but also living in a bunch of other interesting devices. So I'd like to share it with you. I'd like to invite to the stage Rebecca Lawson, a VP for Product Marketing for Edge Technologies. Rebecca.
Hello, Harel.
Rebecca, so we talked
here.
about edge devices, and tell us what's going on in the edge world.
So I'm really excited here to talk about the Predix-ready edge devices. So let me tell you what that really means. So when we say Predix-ready, that means that the Predix system is running in an edge device. And of course, a lot of people say, well, what is an edge device? And an edge device is just something that's very close to the machine. right? So I'll take you through how we're operationalizing some of this.
Okay.
But first, do you remember yesterday when Beth Comstock was on stage and she was talking about ants? And she was talking about...
It was very complicated. I have a degree in electrical engineering, not in biology.
She was talking about the emergent property of ants and how, and other, bees and birds and such. And so what this is, it's like that because what we're doing is we're distributing the intelligence. And so you know how ants can get into very small places. Well, our intelligence is getting into, for example, a sensor here on a compressor. So we have sensors that are now Predix ready, and that means they can run the Predix machine.
So Predix ready, it means that this code, the Predix code is running on?
It's running there, and that means that we can do really interesting things there. So as we get closer to the machine, we can start to bring intelligence to the machine, and we start to see emergent behavior from systems of assets.
Okay.
Now this is connected to a controller here, and this is speaks in Modbus, and so Modbus is a language that's used in industrial controls. So this is Predix ready. So that means that we're bringing connected controls, the world of control devices, into the world of enterprise data. So you can do all kinds of interesting things with this because Predix can speak this language, and it's got a pretty good footprint. So you might want to run some apps here, right?
So if I write the apps for this device, do I do it on this device? Or?
No, you develop in the cloud.
Okay.
Pushes down to this device, and then you're going to have options of what data you might want to run here or what analytics you might want to run here, because there's different use cases. Sometimes you need the data and the analytics to run on a controller. Sometimes you want to use a field agent, for example. This was developed by GE, our friends at Automation.
GE hardware.
This is GE hardware. And all of these edge devices will, of course, give you secure connectivity to the cloud. But more than that, more than just the data transfer, they're also intelligent in and of themselves. So you can run small apps here. This is not a large device. But we have a much bigger footprint in some of the gateways that our partners are developing. So for example, this is an HP gateway. It's running Predix, so it's Predix ready gateway. And over here we have a Dell gateway, and this is also running Predix. So this is running a lot of ants, so to speak, because obviously with a bigger footprint than a field agent, you can run analytics right here. So this is important because our intelligence and the insights and the actions that machines can take can now happen anywhere on the network. And that's a big deal because that's what the industrial internet is all about, digital industry is all about. So we talked about the sensors, the gateways, the controllers. Over here, we've got a rack. So if you need a whole lot of compute or you want to run some really big analytics at the edge, you can do it here, and this connects back to the cloud. So now we've got intelligent conversations happening across a distributed set of nodes.
So you have the cloud in our data center, then you have this box on the operator's premise, and then you have the rest of these devices?
That's right. You might want it on premises. You might want it there for security reasons or regulatory reasons, or maybe you just don't want your data to go anywhere because that's how you are. So we're giving our customers a lot of opportunities to write apps and do analytics and bring those insights immediately into their operations. So again, we're going to be seeing this. I love the idea of the emerging machines, the intelligence around machines, and it's going to happen here first.
All right, so what is this puppy? That's interesting.
Yeah, we're saved the best for last. So this is a drone, and this is the door prize, right, for who, not really. So Predix is running in here. Predix runs in here, and it's going to just, it's going to operate the drone. So we're going to see how this drone delivers incredible value. I know it's fun and everything, but it delivers incredible value to our customers who need to get to a location and do some computing at the location.
So what does Predix do in this drone?
It's controlling it.
Oh, really?
It's controlling the drone. Take off, fly, turn around, do a flip, take pictures, and then come back and land safely.
Okay.
And all the while, it's transmitting data securely up into the Predix cloud.
All right.
Yeah.
So just to take away from it, so everything is running Predix here. There's a continuum. There's a unified developers model. People can go to the cloud, develop the right application, push the right segments of execution to the right places.
Right. So you're developing in the cloud, but you can execute in a distributed manner. And that makes a lot of sense because we live in a distributed world. Just like the ants, right? They kind of have a home base, but you know how they get everywhere? And you think, oh, they can't be that smart. But they really are pretty small. No Predix on the ants, but well, maybe.
No,
we'll
maybe.
see.
One day.
See. OK.
Rebecca,
thank you very much. All right.
It takes a village to build software. We cannot, we are very proud that working with our partners, Ganesan's team, Ganesh and Ramu's team has been running hundreds of proof of concept, over the world, all over the world in the last year. And really, at the end of the day, as Bill said yesterday, our partners are really instrumental to the success. This is not an ecosystem if we cannot actually bring partners to work with us. So I would like to specifically talk about, one of our strategic partners. We've been working with Microsoft for quite a few months now. We announced the relationship by the two CEOs. I think it was in July, actually, so not so many months ago. The goal, and we're working on that, is to put Predix on Azure side by side with our own data centers. So you can go to a region where Microsoft is already operating and get all the value that Predix has. We've been working with Microsoft as a key partner, not just on putting Predix on top of Azure, but on actually building scenarios for companies that have, industrial companies that have a Microsoft fabric that they're running on for IT, and they've been working us on the OT side. So I would like, with your permission, to introduce Kevin Dallas, Corporate Vice President for Business Development at Microsoft. Kevin, give me a hug, man.
Hey, there we go. That's a real partnership.
So Kevin and I have been working together back in the old days at Microsoft. You look like a banker. What's going on with the suit?
This is the new Microsoft.
Yeah, okay. Well, shit. I don't. Okay. So, you and I haven't seen each other for 100 years. So what's going on?
It's all going on. So first of all, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to join you here at Minds and Machines. Just to give you some background, I run business development for IoT and intelligent cloud at Microsoft. And when I say business development, I mean that in a very literal sense. What we're finding is that there's significant investment going on into digital transformation across all the industries that we serve. And that is requiring us to really find different types of partners to deliver these types of solutions. You have partners that have real depth in industry domain knowledge. So this partnership with GE is very important for us.
So when you go around and talk to customers, what do you hear from them on how they would like to see the two companies coming together and bring them solutions?
So Jeff and Satya announced the partnership back in July at our Worldwide Partner Conference. And we had about 20,000 attendees at that event. The news was extremely well received. So we've got a lot of interest from our customers now in terms of how our two companies can come together. What we found is that customers really are not looking for technologies, they're looking for outcomes. And the 4 outcomes that we're hearing about is 1, help us transform our products, deliver our products as a service. 2nd, optimize our operations. 3rd, allow us to really empower our employees to make smarter decisions. And then 4th, really enhance our engagement model with our end customers. So those are really the 4 outcomes that we're seeing. Now, this is really interesting for Microsoft because we've traditionally been a player in the IT space. And now we're being asked to work with our partners and our customers in operations and the digital cogs or physical products of our customers. So very, very different for us, and this is why this partnership is so important.
So let's talk about the partnership for a second. Partnership, you and I have seen it in various places. They're hard to, they're hard to build, they're hard to continue, they're hard to execute on, especially when you have 2 big companies with a lot of aspirations. So how do you, from your point of view, from Microsoft's point of view, how do you see the partnership with GE working out?
So we certainly have aspirations, but at the same time, we realize that in order to deliver to the industry, we really can't do this alone. So partnerships are really important for us. But the first thing I would say, we believe we have a great opportunity to bend the productivity curve. We believe that in order to do that, we have to make the digital twin a reality. We have to really drive OT and IT integration and make that a reality as well. So we are going to be very focused on delivering on that particular promise. Now, in terms of the digital twin, you're all familiar. It is the virtual representation of a physical asset, physical machine, physical device. And there are key elements to that. One is the physics-based model that you heard from Bill yesterday. There's also the data from the digital feedback loop between the physical and virtual. And then last but by no means least is this cognitive services and AI capability that's needed with the digital twin that we think we can really drive a lot of value around. So you'll find with our platform, we're delivering huge value there, as well as the digital feedback loop. And then last but by no means least is the integration between IT and OT. Clearly, we have a lot of our own applications, business applications in IT, but we also provide connectivity into industry applications as well. So we really are looking to make sure that we deliver on the promise of the digital twin, as well as the IT and OT integration, and really bend that productivity curve.
Great. Let's see it in execution. Let's see
Great.
some demos.
Okay.
So I would like to invite to the stage Christian Berg from Microsoft and Sanjoy Pito from GE to show us something interesting. Sanjoy?
Thank you.
Christian?
Yeah. Thank you.
So Sanjoy, what are we going to see?
Great.
What is the business that we're trying to solve here?
Absolutely. We're actually solving the problem for inspections for a power line transmission company. So what we've typically seen is a transmission company has about 50,000 or more miles of transmission assets, talking about towers, transmission lines, suspension clamps, insulation, overhanging insulation, etc. And they have to inspect them. So they typically have crews of about 2,000 or more field technicians that go out to these locations and inspect them manually. And as you can see on the screen, it's a very dangerous job, using helicopters and telescopes sometimes to go out to these assets. These assets are typically in a remote location, so it's also cost prohibitive for a company to send out this crew to do these remote inspections. So we are trying to solve this at scale. We are also targeting the problem of the enormous data that comes in during an inspection. So what we do is we use drones like these that autonomously are scheduled to fly out to the asset, get all the inspection data that it can, and bring it back to Predix to store it in the digital asset for that specific asset. So we've completely digitized the asset model to have all the asset data for the power transmission company, and we have at our fingertips the inspection data as well. With that data in digital twin, we are able to run any advanced analytics that we like. So we can run efficient image analytics algorithms to identify defects for those assets. We can create work orders automatically and help the customer to do an autonomous inspection rather than a manual inspection, thus reducing overall costs and improving the efficiency of their inspections.
Let's take a look.
Cool. So we look into how we're doing it. Let's select one of the assets in our application. I'll go to a remote location, for example, Stanislaus National Forest. And over there, I can select from a bunch of asset types. Let me select suspension clamps. And I'll select suspension clamp 301. And let's open that. As you see, we have a digital twin representation of the suspension clamp, the ones identified with the red markers there. We know the exact location of that asset. We are seeing that in a map. And I'm also presented with a list of available drones in that area. If I select a specific drone, it'll tell me this particular drone is quite close to this asset and is powered on, ready for autonomous inspections. So I can start a remote inspection right there. We've done a few inspections in the recent past, and I'm going to pull up an inspection we did for the same asset, suspension clamp 301, on November 4th. And as you see on a timeline, we have the data for that inspection along with the images taken. I can zoom in to that timeline, select a specific image. So you see an inspection image for a suspension clamp in the Stanislaus County area. And as soon as we have this data in, we send it through our stream processing engine, and we start the image analytics process, for which let me invite Christian from Microsoft to give details on that process.
Thank you, Sanjoy. For this report, we used Power BI Embedded to provide the analyst with both an overview of the current system's health, as well as a quick means to validate the results of the automatic image analysis. So the automatic image analysis algorithm we built using the cognitive services of the Cortana Intelligence Toolkit. It scans the thousands of images that comes from the drones each day, looking for common issues. And when it finds one, it scores it by severity on a 3-point scale. So for this data set, we can see that we have 1 severity 3, 4 severity 2, and so forth. It also classifies them by the type of issue, which in this case ranges from bird nests in the towers to stabilizers that are misaligned. And here on the map, we show all the images that come in, the location of all the latest images from the drones. And we can here, for instance, click on that level 3 severity image that we captured. What that does is it brings up the original image that the drone captured, as well as an in-focus snippet that the algorithm also creates for the scoring. Now, this is great for the analyst to quickly validate that the algorithm didn't produce a false positive. And if you look closely here, you can see that this is an insulator, and one of the disks here are missing. So it's correct that it classified it as an insulator issue. And it's also correct that it's a level 3 issue, because if the insulator was to fail completely, worst case, the entire tower could become electrically charged. We can then proceed to the level 2 severities by clicking on them. And we see that 3 out of the 4 are located here in Section 2 in the Stansell National Forest. We can also look at the history of issues, and we see that Section 2 has seen a sharp increase in issues over the last 2 months. So if we want to investigate that section further, we can select that here and filter down to it, now just looking at Section 2. And we see these 3 severity 2 issues that we just pointed out. We also see the maintenance history now for this section. And you see 2 opposing trends here. On the one hand, the planned maintenance has sharply decreased in the last year, and we've seen a recent spike in ad hoc service requests, presumably in response to the issues that the drones identified. When I click on this issue, this image here, you see that sometimes the algorithm will produce multiple snippets for the same original image. Here, for instance, we see a bolt with a missing pin. Here, this one, it didn't find any issues, right? And you can see why, because the pin is clearly visible here. Now, the pins, of course, are important to ensure that the bolts don't come undone over time. And here, thirdly, we can see 2 bolts in this one image, both of them with missing pins. And in a similar fashion, we can now go through the remaining images, validating the results of the analysis, so that we are confident that when we dispatch the technician, we don't do so in vain. And here, thirdly, the image that Sandra previously showed, and the bolts here in focus with the missing pins. So once we've validated that these are real issues, we can go ahead here and create a work order. What we do now behind the scenes is that we pass Dynamics 365 the asset IDs that we've selected, and it goes to the digital twin model and fetches all of the relevant information to create a work order, which you can see it here created for suspension clamp 301, 304, and tower 305, which had more than one issue. And if we want to see the details here, we can go to the work order section, and here you see the 3 work orders that we just created at the top. And if I want to see additional details about what it added to this service request, I can go ahead and click on it, which brings up Dynamics 365. And here I could also make changes if I wanted to before the before it reaches the technician.
Thank you, Christian. So as you've seen, we were able to completely digitally transform the power line industry. We were able to bring all the assets as a digital twin into Predix. We were able to run analysis algorithms based on the images that the autonomous drone during an inspection sent us. And using those defect analysis algorithms, we were able to find defects, automatically create work orders, and save a lot of money for the power line company.
Very impressive. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Christian?
Thank you very much.
Sanjoy?
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. That was real code, real product. How long did it take to build it?
Real code. So normally something like that would take months to put together. It took this team 6 weeks.
6 weeks, wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, everything is coming together. The assets from Microsoft, Predix, all coming together to create a unified solution for the customer.
Yep.
So, you know, just in closing, what do you think we need to leave the audience here? What message that they should take away home?
Yeah, I would say that this is a very powerful partnership that we formed here. 2 leaders in our respective areas coming together. We're very focused from a Microsoft perspective and enabling GE in 3 areas. 1, accelerating global rollout of Predix on Azure. 2, driving developer adoption. And the third one, which is arguably the most important, is the integration of OT and IT, that enterprise integration. So when I talk about the accelerate the global rollout, Microsoft has a hyperscale cloud, an enterprise-grade hyperscale cloud that's in 38 regions worldwide. 38 regions. That's more than Google and Amazon combined. We also have data centers, sovereign data centers in Germany and in China. So we can absolutely enable that global rollout in an enterprise-grade, industry-grade perspective. The investment we're making there is huge. I mean, for every single data center, it's over $1 billion. If you look at last year alone, we invested $6 billion in data center build-out. So we're very invested there. In terms of developers, we have hundreds of thousands of developers that target our platform. From this partnership, we're looking to really bring together the Predix services with the Azure services to really deliver the best-in-class platform for developers to build out these new cognitive applications. The types of services we have, services like IoT Suite, the Azure IoT Suite, which processes over 1 trillion transactions, 1 trillion events a week. So it's a proven pipeline for IoT. We also have stream analytics, batch analytics, cognitive services that you saw today for speech, image recognition, all the way through to Cortana for AI capabilities that Bill referenced yesterday. So for developers, there's going to be a rich set of services where you can build these next-generation cognitive applications. Then at the top level is the enterprise and operational applications. How do those integrate? So obviously, we have some very big properties at Microsoft with Office 365 and Dynamics. But we also have connectors into other industry applications as well, like SAP and Adobe. So what you saw today was data being fed into Dynamics 365. But that same data could be fed into other enterprise applications as well. So we focused on enabling that whole connection. And then last but by no means least, we've got HoloLens in terms of the augmented reality capabilities as well. So we're really excited that we're going to be able to bring together the industry's leading platform around OT and IT integration. That's going to allow you to bend the curve. It's going to allow you to really drive business outcomes. And we're looking forward to working with you all and transforming your businesses.
Great, thank you. I'd like you to take 2 things home if you were dozing during this presentation. First, maybe you were not, but first, the fact is that you have to look at Predix now as the Predix system. The same way that our devices are not working in an air-conditioned room in comfortable temperature, 9 to 5, the system that computes the elements, the application, the software cannot also be only in the cloud. We have to take it all the way to the edge, and that's what we're announcing today. The second thing is that Predix is real, not just in terms of the bits. The bits have been real for a while. The operation, the ability to solve problems, the ability to rev up and respond to any kind of issues or any kind of problem you throw away is also there, and the organization is fully geared up to support you. So with that, I'd like to thank you for the time, enjoy the show, and have a great day. Thank you very much. Yeah. Kevin?
Operator, a change in my mission is causing damage to my HP turbine rotor.
Okay, Twin, help me understand the problem. What's your operating profile?
In past 6 months, my number of cold starts is 4, my number of warm starts is 8, my number of hot starts is 39. The number of start-stop cycles has increased by 27.5%.
Twin, tell me about your rotor damage.
My damage rate has increased by 4.0 times over last 6 months. If this continues, I would lose 69.9% of my useful life.
Twin, give me options for mitigating that rotor damage.
Based on weather forecasts, historical data, fuel cost, electricity pricing and my present condition, I have 2 options for you to optimize operations. Option 1 is to manually slow down my startup ramp rate so that you can reduce the wear on my rotor. Option 2 is to download the OpFlex app and apply stress controls to minimize wear and reduce fuel consumption too.
Twin, give me the factors you use to calculate option 2.
I used my past 15 years of historical data, fleet learning from 125 other D11 steam turbines like me, and 58,965 simulation runs to get this recommendation. I'm 95% confident of my assumptions.
Twin, I need a financial perspective. Tell me about the numbers.
The numbers look good. We can reduce stress by 25%, which brings the damage rate back to normal range. Startup fuel cost will go down by 40% and startup time will be cut by 50%. You will also avoid $12 million by preventing an unplanned outage.
Twin, okay, I select option 2. Let's do it.
I'm initiating option 2, which is Flex Start. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. What you saw just now was not a glimpse into the future. This is happening now, today. This is a representation of a D11 steam turbine that's currently running in Southern California. We call these representations digital twins. What you saw was an example of the human mind working with the mind of our machines. What's a digital twin? It's a living model that drives a business outcome. So this model gets data, gets operational data and environmental data, and constantly updates itself. It also can reach into the fleet, the 125 D11 turbines, and it acquires knowledge from them and learning from them, and it incorporates this into the model. And it uses this to drive business outcomes. It can drive outcomes like it can predict, or it can warn us and then predict failures to reduce maintenance cost and unplanned outages. It can give us the ability to optimize or provide mitigation events when we find out that we have these type of failures. And it can also allow us to forecast opportunities and actually benefit from these opportunities. So let me step back and actually walk you through what occurred in this digital twin in a very simplified way. So when you think about the twin, it really operates in 3 stages: see, think, and do. So in the seeing stage, and I'll relate this to what you saw previously, in the seeing stage, what it's doing, it's actually gathering data of its situation to give you a warning or a prediction. This data that comes in is both operational data and environmental data. Operational data like the steam temperatures, the bowl temperatures, the rotor speeds. It takes that data in and it uses a model, that living model. This is a hybrid model of physical and digital capabilities. So it's a combination of metal fatigue, metal creep, Bayesian learning, and other machine learning techniques. And it uses this to create a cumulative damage understanding of what's happening on that rotor. As it does that, when it hits a threshold, it can then warn us there's a problem. It then can actually predict the problem. It also uses similarity learning techniques to reach into that fleet of 125 other D11s and gather their knowledge as well. So this is a model that's constantly updating itself to reflect the precise conditions of the asset and then learning from others in the fleet. After it does that, it has the ability to give us these insights at the right time. That's the first stage. And it does that through APM and using the digital thread to get all that data. The second stage is the think stage. This is when I asked the twin to give me options that I could pursue. To do that, it ran simulations. Over 58,000 simulations, running them on the Predix platform, as Harel described in the cloud, on those edge boxes. It's looking at historical data, it's looking at fleet data, it's looking at lifing models, it's looking at forecasts for revenue and cost, and it's giving you a number of options. It then reasons across the option based upon the risk and confidence that it can deliver. And with that, it delivered us two options. One that was manual, and one that could be delivered by an application that would run on a control system on the edge, exactly as described before. Now we get to the do stage. The do stage is all about informing us and executing what needs to be done. So in option one, in the manual option, what you could do is you can have it prescribed to you. What's the load rates, the ramp rates, the steam temperature that's needed for an operator to actually manually input. And all that is logged in APM and delivered to an operator to manually input. Or you can use an app downloaded to the edge, running analytics on the edge, one of those boxes you saw previously. Now that app can run much more precisely. It can precisely monitor the load and the ramp rates, aligning it with the steam temperature so that the thermal stresses on the rotor are minimal. That's how you get to that 25% reduction number. It also, by doing that, allows you to start a lot faster and burn less fuel. That's where you see the other benefits show up. All of this executing on an edge device. That's see, think, and do. These are the digital twins working with us, with the minds of the machines, creating these capabilities. Now, what if I wanted to go in a much more immersive environment and have the twin help me understand the problem? How about I use one of these Microsoft HoloLens, which I suddenly found here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this lens to get a much more immersive environment. So what we would normally do is we would normally go into the actual physical plant and look at the steam turbine itself, the physical steam turbine. And from that physical steam turbine, what I would do there, let's make sure we get this to go. Right. What I would do there is I would overlay all of my digital capabilities on the physical asset, seeing exactly where the damage was occurring. Now, as I can't do that, I can't take us all on that journey, it's 6 hours away. What I'll do is I'll ask the twin to bring that to us, take the exact CAD dimensions of the asset from manufacturing and maintenance, and simulate it in this environment. All right? Now, as it begins to do that, right, you'll see the steam turbine appear. And it should be appearing any second now. Or is it one of these usual glitches when you do these things that you see appearing? All right, might be a glitch. There it is, in the audience. Now I can have the twin help me. Twin, open the steam turbine. Okay, that didn't work. Twin, open the steam turbine. Let's see if that works better. All right, let's use the hand gesture. Okay, give it a second here. Okay. Twin, show me where the where is. Twin, show me the length of the where and plot a baseline for me so I can see if we did no mitigation what that would be. Okay, twin, close the steam turbine. Now this thing is still floating around. What you saw there was an experience with one of 551,000 digital twins that we have currently running. This one can communicate with us in a richness of voice and vision that is usually unbelievable, but quite real. But all of them deliver value. Several of them deliver value in different ways. So what you've seen here is a list of the other twins that we have. So we have parts twins, which is what you just saw, the rotor failure prediction. And this parts twins, what that can do, just like we saw, is deliver an early warning about a problem, as well as tell you about the actual failure that you'll encounter. We have product twins. What product twins do is they actually optimize the remaining life of a steam turbine or any asset, and they do it against maintenance cost. What process twins do is they find ways to optimize scheduling of field engineers, in this example, to maximize the utilization. What the system twins do is the system twins find a way to actually optimize against a multiplicity of KPIs, balancing things like revenue against remaining life against maintenance cost. All of these twins providing value. So when you think about the era that we're going into of emergence, this is the era in which we have the minds of the humans, maybe 6 billion of them, talking to the minds of the machines, 50 billion of them. That convergence is going to profoundly change everything we know. We believe with the power that we have in Predix, the thread, the twin, and APM, we are perfectly suited with our partners and our customers to move to the next space. Thank you very much for your time, and my thanks to the twin.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CEO at ServiceMax, Dave Yarnold, and Vice President of Product Management for Digital Thread Services at GEdigital, Bobby George.
So Dave, we've partnered with ServiceMax in our journey for services optimization over the last 6 years. With yesterday's announcement, we're excited to have you now as part of the GE family, and I'm excited about what together we can offer to our customers. Why don't you spend a few minutes with our Minds and Machines audience, giving a little bit of a background about ServiceMax?
Absolutely. Thank you, Bobby. Boy, it's good to be here, and it is great to be joining the GEdigital family. You probably heard the name ServiceMax mentioned a few times over the last day or so. You're probably wondering, what the heck is a ServiceMax? So I want to spend a few minutes and describe who we are and what we've been doing. Our business, we've been solely focused on basically the army of tens of millions of field service engineers that literally keep the world running. They keep all those big machines that we're talking about at an event like this, keep it running. And over time, we have developed a wonderful install base of more than 400 customers, customers like GE, customers in other manufacturing verticals such as healthcare, energy, telecom, and lots of other industrial verticals. Today, our customers are tracking almost 100 million assets in 14 million locations, and we truly have become the world's leading field service platform, as validated by the most recent Gartner Magic Quadrant. We're really thrilled by the external validation of what we've been doing. Now, service really has become an exciting place in the enterprise world. When we started this business 9 years ago, service was kind of a dreary place. It was viewed as a cost center. It was viewed as a necessary evil. And most of the technology in the service world was focused on squeezing cost out of service. But what we've seen over the last decade is that service has become a revenue engine, a profit engine. In fact, a recent Bain study came out and disclosed that they had surveyed global manufacturers and found that the rate of growth in services was more than 2x that of the underlying equipment business. So that's been great for our business. But further, the world is going through a transformation of the underlying business model, moving from a pure services orientation to more of an outcome basis, providing outcome to customers. And you cannot achieve that business model transformation with the current systems that are in place. Your current ERP and CRM systems just won't allow you to do that. So what we've done over the past 9 years is we have built a platform to enable that transformation. Literally a platform that enables your field engineers to do everything they need to do to fix that equipment, make customers happy, do that every single time in a very consistent fashion. Tracking your install base, trillions of dollars in install base assets being tracked, your parts, your people, your schedules, all the contracts, warranties, planned maintenance, returns and logistics, all of that in the ServiceMax platform. And we've connected it to the Internet of Things so that you can be seeing what's going on in machines and automatically read a trouble issue, dispatch a technician, and proactively and preemptively eliminate unplanned downtime. So we're very proud of this platform, and nice platform. So what does that mean to me? If there are any CEOs or CFOs out there, you heard Jeff talk about the slow growth global economy yesterday, and for me, this is where the rubber meets the road. What we do as a company is we track the results that our customers are getting from our platform. We do that every year. We disclose that to our customers, and we're getting some great results. We group these in 3 groups. 1 is revenue growth, 2 is productivity, and 3 is customer sat. I won't hit all of these, but I'll highlight a couple. On the revenue side, we've seen, on average, and again, this is across a group of very large service organizations, after deploying ServiceMax, an average of 13% growth, top-line growth, 13% on service revenues. We've seen increases in contract renewal rates and upsells as well. On the productivity side, we've seen that the field engineers themselves, having a mobile solution with them, their productivity has increased on average by 18%. And finally, from a customer sat perspective, the most important statistic, KPI, we know in customer sat is your Net Promoter Score. And across our customer base, we've seen Net Promoter Scores increase on average by 11%. So big impact on a company's operations. So we are, this is what it's all about for us. We're happy to be bringing this into the fold at GE Digital, and we look forward to bringing this to all of you over time. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Bobby.
So we talked over the last day and a half about how the digital and the physical worlds have converged. I want to talk about how we've seen services and services opportunities expand beyond traditional boundaries, right? We think there are 3 key enablers to drive the next generation of services automation. And that's brilliant machines. These are smart, connected, communicating equipment. There is a Predix operating system, the operating system for the industrial internet, And what I'm here to talk about today is really putting people at work, providing the right insights, tools to the folks in the field services organization to be able to deliver superior outcomes for our customers. We've started on this digital journey with ServiceMax. It's been going on for 6 years. Dave and his team has enabled an awesome set of productivity capabilities by delivering a great product. We have it deployed across multiple GE businesses, and we have about 6,000 field engineers currently using ServiceMax. We've expanded on this capability. We have built our first mobile field services execution platform called FieldVision. Now, FieldVision is how we deliver the power of the industrial internet in the hands of the men and women who actually perform this work on behalf of our customers. FieldVision is built on Predix, and it's intended for use for about 30,000 field engineers across the company. How about we see a demo? I want to invite Jake Peenig, one of our field service engineers in our power services business, to walk us through a little bit of the demo. So we've got 1,500 field engineers today performing wing-to-wing outages on FieldVision today in our organization. And we've delivered about $150 million of productivity. So let's roll with the demo. When a field service engineer lands on site, they have access to all the activities that they are assigned to. And when they get into the tool, they can perform all of the stuff, including in the task management module, they can perform all the activities that are required to complete a task, including accessing knowledge documentation, drawings, collaborating with back office customers, compiled all of this information into a Facebook-like scroll called Newsfeed. This gives ready, real-time access to what is happening at an outage at any point in time to everybody who's involved in an outage, providing full transparency to our customers and making them partners in our outage management process. Quality is an important component of FieldVision. Right? We have built quality into the application by digitizing forms and simplifying data capture process. Studies have shown that there is an $18 billion cost to procedural non-compliances-related activities, fines, in delivering maintenance and repair activities globally. Right? In partnership with our Global Research Center, GRC, we've built smart, connected tooling that provides seamless integration into FieldVision through Bluetooth connectivity to capture inspection and maintenance data as and when this information is being captured by the field teams. So we have also empowered our field engineers at any point in time to create a hold point, to stop work if there is a non-conformance. And they can capture digital signatures and approvals and create an audit trail with the customers as and when they go through that whole process. The hold points can be cleared by customer approvals and access to information that they have otherwise. Right? So finally, before FieldVision, there was about 80+ tools in our power services business that our field service engineering team had to interact with. These are spreadsheets, manual documentation, and so on and so forth. It took weeks, if not months, for our engineers to compile the information and make sense of the work that they were doing. They had no visibility real time into whether the outage was on schedule. They had no visibility into the fact whether there are any cost overruns and so on. Typically, it took a long time for them to get an assessment after the outage of how we performed at an outage. Now, since all of this information is captured real time in the system, we provide access to this information to our field engineers and transparency to our customers to be able to assess how am I doing and compared to how I'd planned this outage to be. Right? We also then pride ourselves in providing real-time and complete and comprehensive reporting about the outage at the end of the outage. So our goal is when a field engineer leaves an outage site, they provide our customers with a report and a complete account of what just took place. We also provide our customers with information regarding future maintenance activities, making them partners and collaborators in maintaining and servicing that equipment. That concludes the demo portion of it. Thank you, Jake. I just want to wind up this conversation with a couple of facts. This has been a fascinating journey for us at GE. Every day, we continue to learn from our engineering teams and our customers and get feedback and incorporate that to continue to build and develop our products. At GE, we've begun the journey to transform the future of work. We're putting the power of the industrial internet in the hands of our field engineering teams. There is a $40 billion opportunity for digitized productivity in the services space. I invite you to take the journey today, and thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CEO of Meridium from GE Digital, Bonds Hart.
Good morning, and thank you for this privilege to talk to you about asset performance management and the history, a little bit of the history. I'll explain the journey that we've been on, which is started in 1993. We had a couple of major companies at Mobile and Alcoa come to us and say, we've got a vision for how we want assets to perform in a very different way. Instead of just keeping track of the work history and when it fails, we want to be proactive and try to figure out how to keep it from failing. We knew what the outcome was going to be, but we didn't know how necessarily we were going to get there. So it was quite a journey that we went through. And on the same time, GE was on a similar journey, but coming at it from an equipment manufacturer, a systems and a predictive system approach, and had a very rich history. We started talking in 1995 about how to collaborate, how to work together, how to solve this big problem for our mutual customers. And so, it came down to kind of three things. One is reducing risk. The other one is optimizing and reducing cost. And the third one is planning and optimizing the use of the assets so you get the maximum production and availability out of that asset. To what Jeff was talking about in terms of all those three together combined to equal productivity. And so very mutual goals, very different streams, and it just made sense for us to come together. So we've been working on this together now as part of GE Digital for the last 8 weeks, and I've never been more excited and more motivated in my life. As you can see, all the things we've been watching the last few days, and you think of all that technology coming together to keep assets from failing. Because when assets fail, bad things happen. You lose production, you lose profit, you lose jobs, you lose environmental containment a lot of times. And so what we're doing is not only a good thing from business, but it's a great thing for our societies and our countries and our global community. So when you look at the terrific platform that we're building in Predix and all those capabilities, it just makes sense to plug APM into that because so many things are handled that we were worried about before. Things like, how do you handle that much data? How do you make sure it's secure? How do you connect to digital twins and the digital thread? So we're super excited about being part of this platform as well as the whole ecosystem. So just to go back a little bit in time and talk about how we used to do things. Used to do things with clipboards. We'd ask people that were very busy to go out on their rounds and as they worked in their facilities or on their equipment and record what happened. And we also asked them when computers came out to come back and type that in. Most of these folks had never taken any typing lessons. Most of these folks were very busy and overworked. So we created pockets of really good data, but overall, there were lots of areas where there wasn't as much data as we wanted. And then sensors came along. Sensors at a very low cost, sensors that could communicate wirelessly, and those sensors could create so much new data that could give us insight. So we've gone from having too little data that wasn't that accurate to what feels like way too much data that is way too accurate for us to be able to interpret and understand. And so what we've done is we've buried our workforce in data. And the problem is if it was just data, that would be fine. The issue is that there's recommendations in that data, and those recommendations can point to probability and future failures. There's recommendations that we should be acting on. There's recommendations we should be considering. And the issue is that if we don't listen to those recommendations, now the data's there. It's in the record. And so it's incumbent on us to develop a new way of managing all that data. The opportunity, and Dow Chemical and several of our other key customers came together and said, if we could create intelligent asset strategies that linked to the business strategy, we believe that would be the key to managing all this data. And so they pioneered, working with us, this whole concept of an intelligent asset strategy that allows you to manage by exception, not have to manage all that data the way we used to. But it's not just real-time data, it's not just sensor data, it's actually listening to people, it's listening to other systems, as well as listening to the physical assets. So is this a replacement for all the other systems we have? Absolutely not. Think of this as a system of systems. And that gives us a lot of capability to answer some key questions. Will it fail? When will it fail? And how do I prevent it from failing? Because what happens when we develop very intelligent asset strategies is we're predicting the probability of certain things happen. And we're figuring out how to prevent that or how to sense it in advance. So it's a continuous cycle of improvement, which is really exciting. It's great to be able to break that repair, fix mentality. And you can be part of that with us. We have a customer here with us, a client here with us, that's speaking at 2 o'clock. Santos, which is a GL&G large project in Australia. And I had the privilege of being there a few months ago. They have 20,000 intelligent asset strategies running. And it's a system of systems. So by combining this data, they're able to spot failures before they happen or pick up on anomalies before the consequences are too great. So it's super exciting to see something that was a concept years ago become reality and then be able to see how we can take it to the next generation by working with you and harnessing the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience that GE has. The benefits are huge. These are sometimes small percentages, but very large dollars. And it's a virtuous cycle that when things aren't failing, good things happen. And so this is one of the highest payback areas and one of the key areas that you and your clients should be focused on. So again, There's some great sessions coming up. At 2 o'clock, Santos will be speaking. There's some things you'll want to go back and watch on the video after the conference. And then there's the true delight I would have if you reach out to us and get a chance to talk about it and understand your perspective. So thank you so much. Look forward to working with you to solve this great opportunity and save a lot of lives and profits. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Global Head of Channels and Alliances at GE Digital, Denzel Samuels.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. Wow, there you are. Okay, if you are a partner who has sponsored Minds and Machines this week, please can you stand? Thank you so much for your sponsorship. Thank you so much. If you are a partner who has not sponsored Minds and Machines this week, I'm just kidding. Oh, some of you did stand. Okay, well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. If you are a partner who's not sure if you sponsored Minds and Machines, well, we have a special session for you later on today. So, hey, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled. You heard Jeff yesterday talk about partners being a force multiplier. You heard Bill talk about one of his top priorities is building the ecosystem. You heard it from Beth. You heard it on stage earlier from Harel with the wonderful relationship we have with Microsoft. So we're thrilled about this ecosystem that's starting to get built and is thriving. Before I introduce our guests, I wanted to make a point. And the point is, in this world of digitized industrial world, you can't just have one category of partners. That's why as we've gone to this ecosystem, we've looked at resellers, we've looked at global systems integrators, telcos, independent software vendors, and technology providers. All of you are so relevant in this space and so important to us. It's also important that whether you're a small, little partner in the UK or in China, or whether you're a big global partner, it doesn't matter. You are so important and so relevant. So it's important that we've got partners from all over the world and partners that also have expertise in all of the verticals that we serve and beyond. So I'm thrilled that we are working so well with you and more importantly, that you have listened to the message of GE Digital and you have come to us in droves. So thank you so much for that. Our three guests represent that. They represent partners from all over the world. They represent partners from different partner categories. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Enomoto-san from NEC. I'd like to welcome Marcus Kennedy from Intel and Anupam Singhal from Tata Consulting. Gentlemen, please come and join me. Hi, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. So thank you for being here at Minds and Machines. Exciting to have you here. Let me start with you, Anupam. So TCS was really early on board, right? You guys embraced this straight away. Tell us a little bit about TCS and why did you get on board so quickly?
Thank you, Denzel, for inviting us here. TCS is the second largest on the market cap, the consulting firm in the world. And we have about 1,800 customers, and I would say 60% of them are light manufacturing. And when we were looking at the Predix, we've been engaged with Predix for about past 3 years working in GE. And when we look at the Predix, what it does and what the capability it brings, we realized that whatever we do for GE is important for us to take it to the rest of the customer of TCS as well. Because the value what it delivers to GE businesses, similar it can go to them as well. And that's where we believed digital, which we talked about the default in today's world, when the technology is in the front of the business. Technology is no more at the back end. Today, technology is the one which is creating new market for the businesses, is making customer more accessible to the products and services which a manufacturer has. So how do we create a complete ecosystem wherein we bring our expertise in digital, our deep knowledge in the information technology system of our customers, our engineering domain, how do we bring them together to create something which delivers value to our customers? Predix, eventually what it brings to deliver to the customer is the value, how it becomes more operationally efficient. And once you bring all these pieces together, and with the computing power as cheap probably it has never been, it's a great opportunity for us to bring that value and make our customers more efficient, make them more agile, because agile and DevOps is the core of the whole digital technology, making customer get what they want to have when they need to have, and make it in a regular process and regular system.
Great, thank you, Anupam. Marcus, what about from an Intel lens? How do you look at that?
So again, thank you, Denzel, for inviting me. As you said, I come from a small manufacturing firm based in Silicon Valley, and Intel's always, as a component supplier, has always believed in the value of ecosystem partners. We've always believed that the way for success for us is more than just delivering products into the market, a really cool technology, but it really depends on the success that we have with our ecosystem partners in terms of driving predictive value into the market. And so for us, what this represents is just a normal way of doing business in terms of driving value through technology into experiences into the market.
Great, thank you, Marcus. Enomoto-san, you are one of our newest partners,
Yeah.
NEC in Japan. So excited that you've joined our ecosystem. Give us your perspective.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me this opportunity. NEC may be famous as a semiconductor manufacturer in 20 years ago. And then also we used to provide the home appliance products such as TV or mobile phone, etc. But today we reshape our company to become a 100% B2B, we say, social solution provider. Let me tell you the one example of the social solution provider. As we say, our mission is to provide safety, security, and then productivity to the society. At the Tigre city of Argentina, we provided a city surveillance system in 2009. Since then, the car theft has dropped by 80% by our system. This is how we contribute to society.
Wow, that's great. We need that in Chicago, I think. Right?
Why not?
But you're not just partners of ours, right? You're partners of each other too, right? So Anupam, you and Intel, you're working on our Greenville project in South Carolina, along with GE Power and GE Current. So tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, it's a great example, Denzel. It's an example of how can you accelerate innovation leveraging TCA Digital Store, which Jeff was kind enough to show it in his keynote. What it brought us, when we look at the problem, we could break down the problem into smaller pieces of it. And then we went to our digital store. Is there something which is available? Can we reuse some of this stuff? And what we realized, there is analytics piece of it, data ingestion, which we can take out from our engine telematics solution, which is on Predix in the digital store. And we can connect all the dots together to bring a solution which can be easily deployed. And what it does eventually is, in fact, I just wanted to say, Bill talked about zero unplanned time, but unfortunately I can't say zero unplanned defect, because what it delivers, defectless delivery, it can cut down the time in producing turbine by 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm not talking about savings from the wastage it can do. So I think it's a great example working with Intel on how can we bring best of the technologies, the thought leadership, how do we leverage knowing the enterprise system, how do we leverage the engineering system which is there, and how can we put all these things together with the digital technologies to make it work for the business.
And to expand on that, I think this particular case was an example of a variety of partnerships that came together to actually drive value into a customer. And in this case, the customer happened to be GE and the GE Power facility. But Eco-Imagination, your Eco-Imagination group helped coordinate the activity. GE Lighting under GE Current was a part of it. Dell out there was a part of it as well. And TCS, as we pulled all together to actually drive an edge-to-cloud solution real time was a great partnership. And the one thing I do want to mention is that because we had everybody at the table from the beginning, it actually happened really, really fast, from conception to actual execution and implementation, where it's just a matter of weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And Emoto-san, you also have a long working relationship with Intel. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, Intel and then NEC is leading IT trend in Japan. Our collaboration started in 1982. We developed an PC which is called PC98, Intel-based PC, and then we have had a #1 market share for many years. And then also in the server market, NEC is #1 for more than 20 years based on Intel technology. So that I'm pretty sure that the IT experience, both Intel and then NEC, and then the combination with the OT experience of GE, will develop an IoT business in Japan.
That's awesome. Thank you. So there's this interconnectedness of the ecosystem that's so crucial to our joint success. So having you now as part of Predix, and the Predix ecosystem is huge, but you're not just a partner. Intel is also a customer. So tell us a little bit about why you chose Predix for your Chandler, Arizona plant.
I think there's really two reasons that we chose GE and Predix for application within our facility. One is who we were partnering with to go and try to implement Internet of Things technology inside our factories, and the other is what we were implementing. For who, what we found out when we started talking to each other in great detail was how similar we were in the way we look at the world and what we value, from corporate responsibility, sustainability, all the way to working together on ecosystem partners and bringing an open partnership together, to actually leveraging our own world-class manufacturing together to be able to drink our own champagne or eat our own dog food, depending on which analogy you like. That kind of a conversation became really easy because we just see the world the same kind of way. So that's why we chose GE specifically. Now, when it came to Predix as a product and a platform, I think Jeff talked about it on Tuesday very well. He said that the Internet of Things for the consumer, which is very different than enterprise, is going to be very different than what the industrial Internet of Things looks like. And who better to partner with on the industrial Internet of Things than somebody who's been in the industrial space for 100+ years, right? And so the operating system for Predix is purpose-built for what we were really trying to accomplish in our factories.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's one of the points that's been made throughout this event. You know, we have the physics, the domain expertise, the digital know-how, and combining it with all of you is just tremendous. Anupam, you guys, as I said, you joined early. You've written a whole library of applications on Predix. Tell us a little bit about that.
First of all, Denzel, thank you for giving us an award yesterday on Digital Innovator of the Year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And one of the reasons why it was there is for the TCA Digital Store. And we go long back with GE. We've been working with GE for more than 25 years. And over the period of years, we developed good amount of business knowledge, domain knowledge, system knowledge. And that could enable us, when the Predix came in, we adopted it, and we believed that it can increase the value of what all the systems, disparate system can do if Predix can be on top of it or bottom of it to make it deliver more than what they've been able to do. And as we started doing small applications here and there, we realized we may be doing one for aviation, we may be doing one for transportation, but there's a possibility of what we did in aviation going to the transportation. And that's why we say, hey, you know what? Let's create a digital store wherein we can put all these digital applications which are developed on Predix, which are more than 50 of them. And once we go and visit any specific client executive, we can show, hey, this is what is being done. This is what it could be relevant for you. And this is what the outcome it can deliver. And what we realize, they're so simple and they're so straightforward. The whole acceptance was much faster. And as we were looking along it, we said, you know what? If it could be relevant for GE, it could be relevant for manufacturing sector as well. And we start taking to all of our other customers what we realized, just not the manufacturing. It can be taken to retail as well, because retail, uses good amount of analytics, and then we work for one of the retailers in Asia Pacific. And the whole analytics layer, which we can use it over there for their cargo monitoring system for the perishable goods, was an amazing example to do a pilot for them. The power of Predix can be demonstrated to them.
Thank you. Thanks very much. In fact, Enomoto-san, NEC is also a customer of Predix. We're going to build a supply chain application for you on Predix. Right. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, we are going to implement the Predix to our global supply chain. NEC is providing network equipment to the more than 100 countries in the global. So the supply chain itself has become more complicated. That's because the network equipment now requires many engineering works at each location. So that at the original plan, we were going to develop our own platform by ourselves. But we saw that the answer is in the Predix, so that we changed our mind. So now we are implementing the Predix to supply chain today. So we save our time.
Great. Well, thank you, and thank you all for being customers. Anupam, I want to go back to you again for a second. You heard Jeff say yesterday on stage, why not us? Right? Why not us? So why GE? And what are your expectations for Predix?
As I was thinking about it when Jeff mentioned, he said, why us? If not us, who else? Because GE has been pioneer in many things in the world. And if you look back, I think it's the whole journey from industrial to digital industrial. And it's just not the industrial digital industrial, it's the whole mindset which we need to look at it. And yesterday while I was sitting, the whole business presentation from the GE leaders has been about technology, digital, about what's going to be the future of heart scan, what is going to be the digital hospital. It's amazing to look at all these possibilities. And if you look at it from what we can do more, today blockchain, in fact, in our booth, we are showing this use case. How can in the energy trading among peer-to-peer, how can blockchain bring that trusted network when this can happen within the consumer itself? What it means for us to have, Jeff yesterday talked about whether it's the prognostic maintenance. When we work with a manufacturer, when the digital die cutter, how can we measure the vibration, the other parameters to proactively tell them what could be the output? Is there going to be defect when the die is cutting a material? What is the top floor to shop floor? What can be the whole plant ops which we can bring in together, multiple systems, whether it's MES, whether it's the PLM, whether it's the ERP? How can we create a single view for the executive to look at multiple of the various parameters which they have? What is a digital hospital? How can, in a hospital, when the assets of the machine and medical equipments can be spread over anywhere in the large facility, how do we track leveraging Predix so that it's available at the right time? So we believe the opportunities, the use cases, the Predix can bring, the value it can bring to the customers, we have not even scratched the surface right now. And we see a huge possibility to work together. And if I can say so, when we were working on Predix, we realized Predix not only does what it's supposed to do, but it also does a lot of visualization, a lot of middle tier, middleware it can provide. So it becomes a complete tech ecosystem in itself to bring solutions not only to itself, to its customers as well.
Thank you, Anupam. Marcus, same question to you.
I think pretty straightforward. Expectations for Predix are to speed up time to market. Yeah. Right? I think the people who will win in this market are those who are able to deliver real, tangible results to their partners, to their customers, the fastest. Right? And if you can tell that story very quickly, then you win. And so the expectations for Predix are to make that easy, right? And for us to do that with you.
Great, thank you. And Enomoto-san.
Okay, NEC is also ISV. So we have a multi-dimensional partnership with GE. So we are going to provide one of our AI technology to the Predix. So hopefully all of the Predix users can enjoy our AI technology through the Predix platform. So please staying open. That's my expectation.
Yeah, we're excited about that too. We're excited about it too. Before we go, we have a lot of partners that are joining the ecosystem. Some are joining this week, as a matter of fact. So I'd like to ask you, what advice would you give to our new partners and some of our older partners to make this partnership real success? What are the best practices? Let me start with you, Anupam.
I think one of the things for the partners is you work very closely with customers. And you know your customers sometimes better than anybody else. And once you look at your customers, you should be able to see what is hurting them, what is challenging them in the marketplace, what is not able to make them grow in the marketplace, what is not allowing them to gain market share from their competitors. And I think once you are able to understand those business cases, use cases, I think technology in today's world is much easier portion of it. And then you can look at it, what are the technologies available? And one of the things which we realize in TCS, we have something called co-innovation network. You cannot do everything yourself. You cannot have all the technology yourselves. And that's where we work with these partners. We say, hey, this problem is about 10 pieces. I can do 6. Probably 2 can come from, say, Equilum in this case, or 2 can come from somebody else. And together we can solve a large business problem for our customer. So rather than trying to protect what you have, let's be more open. Because in today's world, the technology will come every day. It's important to look at what is the business issue and problem which we are trying to address and bring a solution together to make it work with the customers.
Thank you, Anupam. Marcus?
In terms of a best practice for partnering with GE specifically, I'm going to give a shout out here to our alliance manager, Amalia. She's awesome, so I would recommend that you demand that Denzel hire you and Amalia too, because she's fantastic. Beyond just
that was
hiring
a shameless
Amalia,
plug there,
shout
Amalia.
Out, plug, I see in the back. Beyond that, what I'd say is that each of us are here because we're successful at doing a thing, at selling a product more than likely, or a service. But when it comes to this new world for the industrial Internet of Things, we really have to work together to come to the table to do something more than just sell a thing together. And a lot of times we've developed a particular core competency that has allowed us to sell that thing better. And for Intel, the way we've been able to be successful with GE as we go down this partnership path is, for us, we've got a top 10 software organization, right, by size. So we have tons of software engineers that we don't necessarily sell as a product, right? And so we bring that competency to bear so that we can speed our time to market for everything that we do together.
Thank you. And Enomoto-san, best practices, what would you share?
Let me say that we set up the COE, Center of Excellence, to maintain a good partnership with GE. That's because things move very fast in IoT world, as you say, new world. So that we need to, catch up everything. So that you should have a person who are fully in charge with an GE relationship. That's the key to maintain a good relation with GE.
Great. Well, gentlemen, thank you all for your partnership, and thank you for your time today on stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President and Chief Financial Officer at GE Digital, Cosima Shipchandler.
Good morning. If there's one idea that truly captures the essence of Minds and Machines, it's transformation. You've heard us use words over the last couple days like efficiency gains, optimization. These are more than words, though. It's a combination of hardware, software, technology that truly has the opportunity to transform the businesses that we operate in, transform businesses that we're growing into, as well as entire industries. You heard my colleague Denzel a moment ago talk about the power of a great partnership, what a great partnership can mean to businesses and industries. He used the words force multiplier to characterize exactly what it is that a great partnership can do for a company and for a community. It's with those ideas and those words and thoughts in mind that I'd like to introduce one of our most important and interesting partnerships, and that's the idea of our partnership with the Build On organization. Build On is a truly transformative organization. This is an organization that engages kids in underserved communities and allows them to truly aspire and enable their dreams and aspirations. It's inspiring, it's motivating to the kids that participate, and it truly changes the communities in which we as a company operate, as well as the communities in which these kids live. If you think about some quick sound bites and some stats around the way that they operate and the way that they engage, you're talking about lifting graduation rates from less than 60% to above 97%. truly transformative. Not only that, but these same kids that participate in these programs that Build On runs, they also have the opportunity to leave their communities, go into other communities around the world in places like Nepal, Costa Rica, Senegal. Senegal is a place that I was actually fortunate enough to participate in a volunteer mission as well, and then transform the lives of individuals in far-reaching places around the world to truly have a transformative effect. So rather than hear me kind of go on about it and describe the organization further, what I'd love to do is bring out a panel of folks from the GE Digital business, from the Build On organization, as well as a few students that have actually matriculated through the program. So please join me in introducing Alex Hales, Siobhan Brewer, Jasmine Cisneros, and Corey Eastland to the panel. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you.
So I'd like to kind of dive right in. Siobhan, I'd like to introduce you first and have you kind of take the kickoff question. Why don't you give us a little bit about what it is that Build On does exactly, talk about some of the goals of the programs, some of the metrics and things that you've been able to achieve as a working member of the Build On team.
Yeah, great. So Build On's mission is to break the cycle of poverty, illiteracy, and low expectations through service and education. We partner with under-resourced schools across the US to provide service learning programs for young people. And we really encourage young people, high school students, to get out into their communities, identify the issues that are affecting their communities, and be the ones to change their communities by addressing these issues through service. So our students are really looking at homelessness, they're looking at food insecurity, environmental toxins, and they're focused on projects that actually are affecting and changing those situations in their community. They also get an opportunity to travel across the world to help build a primary school in one of 7 developing countries that Cosima mentioned. And this gives our students an opportunity to see the issues that they're addressing locally on a global scale, and to really understand how these issues are affecting our global community. And when they come back, they have a deeper sense and a better connection to their academics and to education. They understand how important education is for people who do not have access to education. So when their mom or their dad is getting mad at them for not taking their academics seriously, they can think back about their experience in Nepal or in Malawi and really connect and understand how powerful education is to provide opportunities for themselves and for others around the world. We currently work in 6 cities across the US. Here in the Bay Area, we are working in Oakland and San Francisco, so we have a student from both sides of the Bay here to talk about their experience. And we have, let's see, to date, we have done 1.7 million hours of service, so our students are out after school, they're doing service during their school day, and every Saturday, they're waking up at 8 a.m. to go out and do a service project. So how many high school students do you know would wake up on a Saturday to do service? Not many, but Build On students are doing that every day. And there's 5 outcomes that we have seen that are connected to our programs. So one is a deeper engagement with their academics. Build On students are missing 2.1 less days of school than their peers, than non-Build On students. 1 day of service equals 1 more day of school. So our students are showing up at school because they feel connected to our program and they see the meaning and the power in what they're doing. Our students are feeling more civically involved, so that's the second outcome. They're more empowered. They see themselves as a leader as well as a change maker for their community. They have an expanded sense of possibility of who they are and what they can do for the future. And they're developing personal and social skills, leadership skills, communication skills. On a global level, we work in 7 developing countries, some of the poorest countries in the world with the richest cultures. We've built over 1,000 schools. We actually inaugurated our 1,000th school earlier this month, and we got to share that experience with some members of GE, including my colleague over here. And so far, we've built 1,020 schools. So we're breaking ground every 2 days to build schools in some of the ruralest communities in the world. We are reaching communities that do not have access to the city center, who do not have access to education. And we've just seen a great power in this program. Our students are making a deep impact in their communities and a deep impact around the world. And like Kozema said, 97% of Build On students are going on and graduating from high school, which is compared to 65% of non-Build On students. So it's a really big number. And 86% of these students are actually going on to college as well. So we are seeing really great opportunities for our students as they continue to go out into the world. And partnerships with companies such as GE allows our students to really see themselves in places that they may not have ever seen themselves before. So they see opportunities for themselves, and they get experiences that they may not have ever known.
So Shivana, it's a great story. Maybe Alex, bringing it a little bit closer to home, I think it's a nice segue. You know, there's a lot of work that GE Digital is doing in the Bay Area, in Oakland specifically. You've been a participant in a number of these programs. Why don't you share with the audience your thoughts, lessons learned? You know, help us connect it back to technology as well. You work in the technology organization at GE Digital. Just give us a sense of what your experience has been like.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I've learned is that through partnership with dedicated organizations, whether it's a social organization like Build On or a technology organization like GE Digital, you realize that one person can really make a difference in the world. And Build On and GE empowered me and 13 other people to travel abroad and deliver education to a community that had never had access to that before. And when we saw the power that education had on that community, that's why I wanted to get more involved with the partnership that you established with Oakland High School through Build On. And with this GE Build On partnership, we have 25 digital employees that are able to mentor a group of students at West Oakland High School every month for an entire year. And we talk about careers in technology, how to prepare for college, social issues, and kind of anything and everything in between. And the ability to sort of empower these students to realize their potential has just been a phenomenal experience. And you know, what makes it even better is that every single person in this room with Build On could go out and do the same thing in their community as well.
So Jasmine, I'd like to flip it over to you next. Probably your first time on a stage like this. But despite that, I think give us a sense, and the audience a sense as to, you know, what drew you into the Build On program in the first place. You've been a couple years out now. You know, you're pursuing university education. You know, how's that going? Just kind of give us a sense of what's going on with you.
Well, I have, excuse me, a couple of years out of high school now, and I'm currently a sophomore at Merritt College in Oakland studying psychology. It's going really well, so thank you. But what really drew my attention was my mom. My mom was the one that pushed me to join Build On, and she kind of forced me to go to like the first service project, but without her and that push, I wouldn't have experienced and learned the community that Build On has, and you know, I'm sorry. What really drew me in was the community that the students at my high school had, and you know, going in as a freshman, it was scary. Going like transitioning from middle school to high school, and going and knowing that there was a group of people that you know appreciated me and wanted to hear what I wanted to say and how I wanted to you know change my community. But the message of Build On of you know being able to impact our community and also the world was something that I didn't really think was possible, especially during high school. So just really being able to go and get out of my comfort zone and really, you know, learn more about myself and about my community and the world was just something that Build On had, and it was the whole complete total package. And I'm glad my mom forced me to go to that first meeting and stuff, but yeah.
So Corey, I'm going to wrap it up with you because we're running a little bit long. We're gonna wrap with you. What I'd like you to talk a little bit about is you're pursuing a technology degree. You're a relatively recent matriculant of one of the Build On programs. You know, give us a sense as to you know the degree that you're pursuing. How can you take back what you're learning from a technology perspective back to your own community, the school that you came out of?
Well, when I was young, I was always into knowing how things work. I've always been interested as to know why something is displaying or how something is working. I always look like behind TVs or stereos or something. And growing up, that kind of never went away. My aunt, she works in the Department of Technology, and I've been to her office a few times where I've like seen people work and I've seen how they work. And around like junior year of high school, that's when I decided that maybe I want to be a part of this field and learn how technology works and possibly produce something someday. I think that technology could benefit my community because there are a lot of kids out there that don't have this resource. The world is changing, as we know. It is the world of technology. I think that with more technology in my community specifically, there will be more kids who are able to generate more ideas and generate more ways to possibly change the world. And I personally want to be able to say I've contributed to that someday.
Great, that's a great idea to end on. Look, so we're a little bit out of time here. We're running a little bit long on our agenda, but we're going to roll a short video before we wrap things up. What I would like to do before we roll the video is to just thank the panelists that joined us today, in particular to thank Jasmine and Corey, and to congratulate them on their great efforts through the Build On program and for what they've accomplished thus far, and we expect big things going forward. Thanks a lot.
It's not like you wake up one day and it hurts. It always hurts. Deep inside from stuff you can't even talk about. But I figure it's not how hard life is. It's how strong you can be in the face of it. And the way to get stronger is to reach out and help people. And these people, they aren't giving up. So why should you give up? That's what it's like. Build On gets you away from everything bad that's happening. And you push on and see hope. And that hope spreads to places where they don't have Jordans or iPhones or anything. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And that's what we do.
That's what we all do.
We build hope. We build on. And no matter what happens,
through struggle, pain, hate, no matter what,
we never give up. We build on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our session. Please enjoy the presentations in the satellite stage tents and lightning stage talks